You know, I grew up on sci-fi TV shows and movies. I loved them as a kid. So it should surprise no one that I'm a big fan of sci-fi RPGs. And of course, sci-fi could mean pretty much anything non-fantasy at this point. So I'm going to basically say this top five list is space. You know, we're talking about galactic sci-fi, that kind of sci-fi, not post-apocalyptic sci-fi or anything like that. So yeah, I posed a question out to the community. Like, what are your favorite sci-fi RPGs out on the market or that you play? Got a whole bunch of answers on that, and yeah, thought I would give you my top five sci-fi RPGs. Hey everyone, welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. My name is Doug. Today on the show, I'm giving you my top five sci-fi space RPGs that I enjoy quite a bit. If there are any sci-fi RPGs that you enjoy, let me know in the comments. Of course, I'd love to hear what you love to play. Sci-fi, again, like I said, it was a huge part of my childhood. Still is a big part of everything that I'm a fan of these days. So I really kind of want to do a top five sci-fi RPG list for the show. I will say that if you are coming across our channel for the very first time, hit that like button down below. If you enjoy these top five lists, then let me know in the comments. And of course, you can always hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate this community that's come around our show. And I really think that it is something special to be able to promote tabletop RPGs and creators and publishers with this platform. Before we begin, I will give some honorable mentions, one of which is Coriolis from Freely Publishing. Coriolis is very much, you know, Arabian Nights meets space, meets Firefly, meets Dune. It's a good system. You'll see why it's probably not on my top five list a little later. Another honorable mention would be Star Trek Adventures by Modiphius, the Star Trek RPG. This is a great RPG if you are a fan of that franchise. I wasn't a huge fan of that franchise growing up, but if we did a top 10 list instead of a top 5, it would definitely be on my top 10 list. It would probably rank around the 7, 8 mark, just because it is a really good game. It is probably one of the better 2D20 systems on the market that they've put out. But there might be another 2D20 system that I like better. So let's get to my top 5 list. My number 5 is probably the most well-known sci-fi RPG on the market. I will say that probably if you're a 5e fan, this is probably going to be your best alternative for a sci-fi RPG, and that of course is Starfinder from Paizo. Starfinder does a great job for what it is. I do think it's a little too generic for my liking. I do like it, don't get me wrong. My friends that play it, I play a game with them whenever they'd like. So it's not something I'll be like, oh no, I don't want to play that. It is something that I enjoy, and I feel like there's not a huge connection to the setting. I'm not really all that tied to the certain classes and all that, and the alien species. It's great for what it is, and it does a great job. It's super popular. If somebody says, hey, I want to play Starfinder right now, yeah, by all means, let's sit down and play. One thing we have to remember is that, I think a lot of people forget that Starfinder came out before Pathfinder 2nd Edition, so I feel that Starfinder inspired a lot of the changes for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So, yeah, I think that if you love 5e in that system, but you also want to play something sci-fi, I don't think, I think Starfinder is probably sci-fi 5e adjacent. So, yeah, give it a shot if that's what you're comfortable with. So that's why it makes my number 5 on the list. My number 4 pick on this list is a game that just came out recently, and you know that this was going to come on my list at some point, and that is Death in Space. Death in Space by the Stockholm Cartel. Carl and Christian have a really cool game. I would say that if you are a new RPG player, Death in Space is a great system to learn how to play RPGs with, especially if you're a sci-fi, a nut like a lot of us are. The setting itself is bleak and gritty and dark, but there's no reason why you can't play it a little more light if you want to. I think that it's definitely a system that could encourage a lot of new players, people that are sci-fi fans that want to get into RPGs. The book is beautiful. It's very player facing, so most of the time you know when you hit and when you don't, or when you succeed or when you don't. And you know that it's based off of like a similar system as Mörk Borg, so it's pretty rules light, but it does the job that it's supposed to do. Again, not a huge tie to that universe, but I like the fact that you're kind of eking out an existence in this universe, and you know that eventually it's going to come to an end. It's just a matter of how long you're going to survive until. So pretty cool about that, and they did a great job with Death in Space. Number 3 is a game that I've been waiting for probably most of my life. Maybe not. But it's been a while. I think out of all the games that I have played with this system, this game does a great job for the setting. So my number 3 pick is Dune from Modiphius, the role-playing game. This book, again, you want to talk about a book that's like a source book as well as, a rule book. The book is beautifully done. Again, I think it's probably the best version of their 2D20 system that they have. I know people might argue with that, but that's fine. I think it's done really, really well. The book is very much something that fans of Dune would want to buy, even if they're not an RPG player. And that's when you have a book like that, that's something special. And when you have a product like that, that says a lot. I wasn't sure how I was going to like the Dune RPG based off of my previous experiences. Not to say that they're bad experiences with the 2D20 system. They're just not it's not like my system that I go to. Again, that's fine. Everybody has their own, preferences as far as RPG systems. But I will say that if you aren't a fan of the 2D20 system, give Dune a look, download the Quick Start, read it up, because even the Quick Start's amazing. It's really, really well done. And if you're a fan of Dune, go buy the book. It's amazing. Number 2. So number 2, when you think of sci-fi horror, it's usually this IP that you think of. I think that this game in particular is probably the best version of the Year Zero system for the setting. It's amazingly clever. It feels like you're playing in that setting when you're playing the RPG, and that, of course, is Alien, the role-playing game from Freely Publishing. I think this is a phenomenal game, like just the way it is. I think that I don't think I'll ever probably play it in campaign mode. I love the cinematic mode because that's how you view the content in the Alien universe. You view it in those movies, and that's kind of what you're signing up for when you play an Alien RPG. I love the game. I think, again, it's another game that is beautifully done. Production level is super off the charts. It's very much a source book as it is an RPG, so if you're a fan of Alien, you should definitely pick up a copy of Alien the RPG and, pick up some of the cinematic scenarios, because I think they're really, really well done, and they kind of add a little bit more mechanics to the core rulebook. So my number one sci-fi RPG is probably no surprise to a lot of you. It's the game that, again, nostalgia pick. It is a game that I grew up with, an IP that I love, a system that's still played to this day, has a huge community still playing it, and that, of course, is Star Wars, the West End Games version, the D6 version of Star Wars. I love this game so much. I think it is super easy to learn, super easy to create characters, fits the Star Wars universe. Like I said, there's some reason, there's a reason why this game is still played to this day, and it still has such a strong and thriving community playing it. It gave us a whole lot of information during a time when there was no Star Wars information at all on the market. Because if you remember, there was a gap there where episode 6 and episode 1 happened. There was no Star Wars in between there, and this kind of filled that gap. I do think that it's built towards that era of Star Wars. I don't know how well it would do in the earlier eras of Star Wars, but I think since it was designed during episodes 4, 5, 6 and the expanded universe stuff, I think it does a really good job of letting you play in that. And of course, a lot of us that grew up with Star Wars in the 80s, that's the Star Wars that we kind of want to play in a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't really surprise me that there's still a huge community of RPG players playing the Star Wars West End Games D6 version, and that's my number one pick for sci-fi RPGs. So yeah, that's my top 5 list of sci-fi RPGs. Let me know in the comments if you're a fan of any of these games, and if there are any games that I should have probably had in my top 5 list that maybe you're a fan of that I should probably check out. And yeah, if you're a fan of these top 5 lists, let me know in the comments. All right, that's going to do it for this top 5 list. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. We'll see you next time. Bye now. This video is brought to you by Black Moon Games. Check out their products at shop-black-moon.com. I just want to say thank you again for consuming this content. I really have a passion for creating content and an extreme gratefulness for being able to have a small part in helping tabletop designers, creators make their projects a reality. There's something really, really special about that. And if you'd like to support us more, you can check out our Patreon. We have all sorts of perks, and I have a $10 a month RPG book club where I send you 2 signed RPG books a year. Feel free to check that out, but mostly I'd love it if you hit that subscribe or follow, whatever platform you're on. It is extremely humbling, and I appreciate it so much. Thanks so much.